Hello, Christmas time is over and I have a little bit of free time and I want to use this time to challenge myself and build a micro SaaS in 2 days. For that, I wrote down a few rules. The micro SaaS should be operational, so it should be really available on the web and not only be locally running on my machine. A payment provider is not required. For me, it's always more important first to get some users, and then about payment, you can take care about that one later if you have a working product and a few customers. Speaking of customers, the SaaS should have one happy user, me. As I mentioned in a previous video, I tried to solve my own problems when building a SaaS, and this one I want to do today as well. There's a time limit of 2 days, so today and tomorrow. So far today I just stood up, but yeah, it should be healthy, so I should also have some time for doing exercise, sleep and also cooking. And yeah, I want to start from scratch, so I have a few prototypes, but I won't take any of those. But I'm allowed to reuse parts from other projects I have built, so I can basically copy and paste code if I want to. Now the first step is to collect some ideas. So what is possible to build in 2 days? And for brainstorming, I want to take maximum 30 minutes. So I can set up here a timer. And then I want to now start brainstorming. Hello, times is up. So let's go over the ideas. So in the end, it took me a little bit over 20 minutes. But to be honest, I also created in the past this video about how to come up with SaaS ideas or problems. So, and in this video I also show my process, and basically I constantly collect problems. So I went over the problems I had collected in the past, but I also checked on my phone what kind of apps I'm using a lot, and this is my list. I don't want to go over each bullet point, but you can already see there's a certain kind of rating. So thumbs down mean I don't want to implement that. For example here, the grocery shopping list. So there I simply already do have an app and it works quite well. And I use it together with my girlfriend. And there are a few minor things I could improve, but overall I think it's already pretty good. Then there are a few things like tracking UI errors, so that I can see errors which happens in the browser. I think it's quite an interesting idea, but I keep it maybe for some later point. And there are other ones with the thumbs up, which I would like to implement, but of course I had to choose one. And the one I chose is the digital cookbook, because I really like that one. And my girlfriend and me, we do have a cookbook together. It's currently built with Notion. You maybe know Notion. It's a tool where you have pages, but also databases, and you can build something like that. So for example, we have here our recipes and different categories, for example, smoothies, and here's a recipe from Kaufland, and then we have the ingredients, and then the steps to prepare the smoothies. Let's take a look into another one. Here's a recipe from Molly Spoon, and there we also write down sometimes a few notes because we changed the recipe on. What I really like is that you can see all the recipes, you can filter them, you can tag them, that's all great. But it's not really tailored for being a cooking book. For example, you can't simply increase here the ingredients if you want to do more smoothies. Also in the recipes itself, in the step-by-step, you don't basically see then, oh, how much of a certain ingredient I do need. You always need to scroll up and down. And I think there are multiple points you can improve. Then I gave me another time box to come up with the features I want to have. And here you can see the features. I rated them by star. This is the ones I want to implement. And then the thumbs up, which are also quite nice features, but I can do them later. And then this blue circle, it's like more on the far feature. Let's pick a few of them. For example, I would really like to have the support for tagging recipes like we saw with the smoothies, or you can also tag then your favorite recipes. I think that's a cool feature. Another cool feature, but for later, is that you can easily import from a URL, for example, using the open graph meta tags to already get the title and the image and stuff like that. Next, after I had collected my features, I went into a few technical details, like it should be available on the web and mobile. And I know Next.js quite well, so I will build a Next.js app. Then for storage, I want to use Firebase, which includes Firestore, and then the storage for user files. I don't know if it has a proper name, but I mean basically the bucket where you can store your user data. Then the gray nodes is just some nodes for me. I have to think about how to allow multiple users to access the same entries in the database and also in the buckets like the image, because a recipe, it should be able, or not a recipe, but the whole cookbook you want to share with your friends. For example, if you have some partner or you're living together with some friends on a flat, then you can share this cookbook and work together. But this is the idea, that you have a cookbook and you can work with multiple people on that. For the search, doing just a shortcut for now and provide a file and then basically do the search locally. I have done something like that in the past, so it's really nice. You can do type ahead features, but also like when the user types something, you can easily highlight things in the search results and so on. It's quite nice, and of course it's cheap because you do it on the client side. A few things I don't want to do. So I want to have support for English and German language, but not now in the 2 days. There I will just stick to English. But yeah, a lot of my friends, they speak German. So I also want to support that at a later point. Yeah, and don't buy a domain. Instead, just using a subdomain of one of my existing domains. And the last thing I did, I took a few notes about the routes and also the main part. I have to store like the recipes, how I can do that and what kind of flows I have to implement. So this is just a few notes I took. Now, the next step is I have some idea. I have a feature set I want to build. And also for the technical part, I know what kind of technologies I want to use. So now I can start to bootstrap a Next.js application. I'm getting hungry because it's lunchtime, and it's also a good point to stop because I finished the setup. So I created a repository on GitHub, then also created a Firebase project, bootstrapped a Next.js application, went back to Firebase, configured there all the services I needed. For example, the Firestore, I created a database, but also the authentication, the app hosting, and the storage. Then I went to Cloudflare and also configured there a subdomain, went back to Firebase, and here I am. I have now configured a subdomain. When I open that subdomain, there's simply a hello world. So the application, my Next.js application, is up and running. And if I go to dashboard, there should be a login. Yeah, it's actually the first time I'm trying it, at least here on the deployed version. So now I can sign in. Let's check that one out. Sign in failed. Interesting. Let's check. I still need to authorize the domain. So let's copy that one. Let's go to settings and authorize domain. And now let's add my domain. Let's try again. Cool, and now it worked. It seems like there's still some cross-original problem with some static assets. I can see the dashboard page, which currently just shows the name of the user which is logged in. So now it's time for lunch. It's nearly the end of the day. I plan to go to bed soon, so let's see what is the status of day 1. Here on the left side, there's the deployed version, and let's go to the dashboard. And we saw already before that I'm able to log in. Now the UI is not styled at all. So just if we check out here the elements, we can see, oh, this is some input element with a form. And there I can now create a new cookbook with a name, like my fancy cookbook. And then I can create it. And then let's check here on the right side if that one worked. Yeah, cool. There's now a new cookbook created with the name and myself as an owner. And also here, if I reload, then I can also see here now my cookbook. Let's create a second one. Now I have two. So the other one is called just my cookbook because it's the default. And let's also reload here. So now I have two cookbooks. Let's check out the first one. So now here we show the name, which comes from here. And then we can create some invitation link. Let me copy that, and it's copied to my clipboard. It's not yet a proper link, but let's check. But here we can see an invitation was created, which is valid until tomorrow evening. And then I can also create now a new recipe. For example, my secret pasta recipe. And let's create that one too. And now we can see also here, I have now my recipe created. From the technical point, I made quite some progress, which I've just shown, like all this form handling and then sending it and saving it in the database. But also I have here certain rules implemented, like who can now access this certain book. For example, another user couldn't access it. I have to add the user to the members list. But from the design point of view, there's a lot of stuff to do. That's all for today. I think I will go to bed soon and hope I will make a lot of progress tomorrow. Bye.